Max of Max and Moriah and like TLC's like, just runaway show, Welcome to Plathville, who I am an uber fan of. Stumbled upon in season 1, could not believe this family in like 2020 had never exposed their kids to like Coca-Cola, alcohol, and an iPhone. I was just like, this is epic. This is like the best television. But look, people know you at least in season 3. And were you even introduced in season 2?
I was. I mean, not a whole lot, but a little bit.
Okay, so we know you from season 2, season 3 of Welcome to Plathville as Mariah's longtime boyfriend. And all right, so I mean, I got to start everywhere. There's so much to update people on. But overall, how did you like being on reality TV?
That's a question that I get a lot. And I think that, for me, it may be different than other people, but it was really just kind of came natural. Like it didn't bother me at all. It was kind of just a cool experience. And I guess I was just so caught up in the moment. Like you don't even realize that you're being filmed. You don't even realize you're on TV. It's just, this is what's happening right now, So
it was kind of a natural progression for you. So we know because and I'm curious, like you've obviously been working on yourself a lot. Your Instagram looks like you're living your best life. You went to Vegas, you're like snowboarding, you're cheering on your friends. But part of this too was prompted by you put out a YouTube video recently, basically kind of getting a lot of things on your off your chest, which we'll talk about. But what prompted that? Why did you feel it was important to kind of put that out?
Why did I feel like it was important for me to do the YouTube video?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just kind of like, whenever you go on Instagram and kind of like you were just saying, like my life on Instagram looks like everything's super awesome and it's going so well. And I kind of wanted to break that cycle and just be like, hey, everybody has problems. And I wanted to not just make it a highlight reel, but make it an actual reality reel, share my life out there with, hey, I'm going through this too. This is what's awesome. And this is what's coming from it. But also I'm struggling. I got my own things I'm working through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it went pretty public in the sense that people picked it up that you and Moriah are no longer together. And, what I found interesting about the video was I didn't realize on season 3, obviously, because to your point, right, what we see on TV and then what's in real life is different. But from your video, it sounds like at some point your relationship with Ethan and Olivia took a turn and it was not good. And you talk about that in the video that you kind of, it sounded like you felt like you needed to like forgive and their actions, you couldn't take on that energy. So what happened? Right. Because in season 3, we saw you guys, playing pranks on each other. you were fun, like, kind of like dressing up, putting on wigs. So it seemed like you guys, I was like, okay, these guys are all getting a spinoff. What happened?
I think that all along there was kind of that we didn't really see eye to eye. There was several times where we talked about this on the show a little bit. I can't remember what season it was, but we would try to hang out with them. And whenever Ethan and Olivia were going through all of their, are we getting divorced? Are we staying together? All that. They just kind of didn't really want to meet me and hang out with me. And so I think that energy was kind of always there. And then whenever Moriah and I broke up, they took it really personally. And it was just kind of like an immediate
cut off.
The truth is showed. Yeah, right. There was no attempt to try and help us out. And then I took that personally because I was like, well, they're not even supporting us. You know what I mean?
And what was it about Olivia that was triggering? Because obviously Olivia's, she's been on this podcast and she's also, on the show, she's portrayed kind of as this like rebel, right? She's sure. gotten away from the church, kind of changed her spiritual beliefs in some degree, obviously is not in contact with Kim and Barry, has a lot of issues with them. So what was it that was triggering about her? Was it that you just felt like, she kind of dictated like what happened with she and Ethan, or, like it was kind of like if you weren't doing what Ethan and Olivia were doing, then we don't want any part of you? Or none of that? I'm just kind of speculating from everything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, Olivia is a very alpha personality, and that can, obviously has its positives. But I think that something that kind of took away from it was kind of like you said, like it almost seemed like her way or the highway. And, I felt like Moriah wasn't strong enough to stand up to Olivia and say, no, this is what I want to do. And so it kind of seemed like she was just following her path. And I didn't like that because I don't see eye to eye with Olivia on everything. And so it kind of felt like it was, I was given a choice, like I can either abide by what they do or find my own way. And here I am finding my own way.
Yeah. And it sounds like you were quite angry with them that, you and Moriah went through a difficult time. You guys end up breaking up, and sounds like they kind of were like, cut you off, like, okay, even though we've known you for the past couple of years, it's like, see you later.
Right.
And so was it that anger that prompted you to kind of seek, like help and talk to somebody and kind of lead you to the forgiveness?
I would say it wasn't like that. It really wasn't Ethan and Olivia that pushed me to seek, more help. I think I've always kind of been into like bettering myself. And whenever I hurt Moriah, that's whenever I realized like, this isn't me. I need to do something different to make sure I don't make that same mistake again.
Got it. Okay. And so, you allude to on the YouTube that I thought you were basically saying that you cheated on Moriah. Is that true?
It's, it is true, but it's not, it's just so hard to explain. It's not like what people are thinking it is, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like you didn't like have sex with another woman, but there was some sort of whatever. Texting, I don't know, you recently went to Vegas. Look, I never judge people because like before I met
Vegas, but
it didn't happen. I never judge people because before my husband, I cheated on boyfriends. You guys are really young. You're thrust into the spotlight. Like I'm so excited for you because you're an entrepreneur. Like so much has happened to you already, and you're just in your 20s. Like your life is going to be so much different when you're 35. So I hate people that judge like, oh, so and so cheated. Yeah, we should never do that to each other. But I curse all the time on this. The fucking reality is, right? You guys are young. Like you're going to make mistake. Like that's how you learn to be in a respectful relationship eventually with someone. So I hope you don't beat yourself up too much. I know I'm sure regret whatever happened.
Yeah. And actually it was kind of funny. I remember the day that it changed from where I was beating myself up. And actually I talked to Olivia Plath, and she kind of like incited me with just like, hey, like, this is just one mistake. You can't let it define you. And that's whenever I like realized like, she's right. I don't have to let this be the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Yeah. You guys are so young and you don't know, like you might end up back together, or you may never, but,
I don't know.
It's funny because I actually had a therapist tell me, like, with cheating, a lot of couples come in, and my husband and I go to couples therapy, and she's like, a lot of couples come to me because of cheating. And she actually said the irony is an infidelity or an emotional cheating can actually save a relationship because there's something wrong with the communication. So, for somebody to do that, not that it's anybody's, there's fault, but there's something fundamentally wrong with the relationship if someone cheats, right? So cheating can oftentimes lead you to a breakthrough in your relationship. Yeah. Do you think, are you and Moriah in contact at all now?
I think that you're kind of onto something there there was definitely something going on, with our communication, with, needs weren't being met in some sort. And I feel like Moriah and I almost had that breakthrough. And then it just kind of seemed like when Ethan and Olivia got involved, and it almost felt like she took their side instead of trying to work it out with me. And then that kind of caused us to, like, we were close to a breakthrough, and then it just didn't happen because these other series of events kind of came in with that.
Yeah, again, just as like the armchair watcher of the show, I'm obsessed. But it does seem like Micah and Moriah seem like the more passive individuals, right? They seem like they don't want conflict with Kim and Barry.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want conflict within the family. They love their siblings. So they seem like they'd rather sometimes sacrifice their own thoughts and feelings to keep things smooth. That's just what I'm reading. Did you kind of feel like that?
Yeah, and I think there's a balance there. I mean, obviously Moriah is pretty set in her ways. She's the rebel, of course. So no matter what anybody says, she's going to do what she wants. But I think that there are certain people in her life that have an influence on her because they mean more to her. And so those people are going to have more, she's going to be more passive with them.
Are you still following her, by the way, Moriah, on Instagram? Because, I think she's trying to get you back, or she's trying to just, make you realize how hot she is. Because she looks like she got extensions. And then she's got this, fire rose tattoo on her thigh. And she's, got this cut-up dress. I'm like, girl, we have departed from Georgia.
Right.
I think she's letting you know what you're missing.
No, yeah, definitely. And, I mean, that rose tattoo is super hot. But, yeah, no, I don't follow her. And this was one of the last things that we talked about because we're not in contact anymore. But I just let her know, it's not personal that I unfollowed you and all you guys. It's just I can't be emotionally attached to. And every time I get on my phone, I see a super hot picture of Moriah with her, fire tattoo and everything. And then, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to move on and continue to grow whenever that's constantly being reminded of me. So I told her nothing personal.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are going through a lot. Well, you took a lot of shit, though, on this past season for giving her a hard time about the clothing that she wore. Mm-hmm. And then you went on Instagram and you said, yeah, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been so critical. What'd you feel? Was that the way you really felt, or you felt like you were getting a ton of pressure? I don't know. Sometimes I just apologize because people come at me. I'm like, okay, fine. Here.
Right.
How'd you feel about that?
I get that. I think that it's, I think that there's a balance there, but as I've grown, especially in the last several months, I've realized that really I was just speaking out of my own insecurities of thinking that I wouldn't be good enough and she would attract somebody else, So that was a pretty sincere apology and just me owning up to my own shit there. So,
yeah,
definitely.
You know what else I thought was interesting about your YouTube video? Because I'm curious about this. Because Kim and Barry, are not well portrayed on the show. I mean, I'm amazed they continue to. I can't believe they continue to sign up. I'm like, right. do these people watch? Because everyone hates them. Everybody hates them.
I asked them that. I was like, I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
What'd they say? Did they say they don't? Yeah. What did they say? They said they don't care, or what?
They basically said, and I mean, not to throw words in their mouth or quote them on this, but from what I got from what they said was basically it seems to be a good opportunity for the kids. And so they're willing to do that because it's helping the kids in their future. So that seemed to be what she said. And they did take a vote of the household, who wants to do it, who doesn't. Majority wanted, so they did it.
But, I'm curious, maybe you can shed some insight, because in your YouTube video, you said you actually turned to Kim, for advice, and maybe Barry too. So why'd you turn to them? Because, again, they're portrayed like no one would take their advice. Right. So tell me what they're like and why you and I'm assuming, because you had this, incident, emotional, affair, whatever you want to call it. And you somehow wanted to talk to them about it. So tell us about that.
I think that just, being born and raised in the South, it was kind of ingrained in me that the best thing to do is to be honest and just have a relationship with the parents. And so I felt like whenever I made this mistake, especially so that Moriah didn't have to go tell them, I wanted to tell them personally and in person, just so that I was, making sure that I was seen as respectable for that. And so I went and I told them that. And then just kind of in our conversation, she kind of gave me the advice to seek professional help if that's something that I needed.
Yeah. So that sounds like pretty sound advice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's worked in my favor.
Yeah. Yeah. You seem like you're doing very well, just emotionally. And, you're out there, you're living your life like everybody should,
Well, and there was definitely, there was a couple months there where it was down in the drain bad emotionally.
Well, yeah.
Not a lot of that got captured, though.
Okay, yeah. So, all right. Well, actually, I want to ask one more question about Kim and Barry, then we'll move on to that. So, do you feel like Kim and Barry, knowing them personally, do you feel like they are accurately portrayed in the show, or every show kind of needs a villain and they're sort of villainized? What's your take on them? Are they good people? What do you think?
That's just there's so many different variables that go into this. Okay.
Yes.
First of all, I met Kim and Barry at 2020. So Kim and Barry in 2020 and Kim and Barry now are different people. They have grown a lot too, and they've become a lot more accepting to the world, and they see where certain things benefit the kids and themselves, and they're becoming a lot less prideful in thinking that they know everything. Okay, so then that being said, I did not know them before 2020, but I was 20 as well. Okay. So I think that they're continuing to grow as well and continue to be more open. And at the same time, I think that they have their guard up and they're a lot more set in their ways on TV because they feel kind of attacked. Whenever they're in person, they're a lot more relaxed.
Look, I mean, whether they like it or not, they're amazing for television. I mean, I love who they, I mean, there's just such great, it's everything that you want for TV, which is easy for me to say as the viewer, right? I mean, you guys are actually living it, which can be harder in some ways. But I mean, for me as the viewer, I'm like, this is television gold. I mean, whether they, they dig their heels in or what, Right. So you said on your YouTube video, which I thought was interesting too, you're not going to participate in season 4 because you didn't feel like you could really be yourself. What do you mean by that?
I felt like before, I had the opportunity to, and I talked with the producers about like, what would that look like? And it kind of just seemed like their perspective of me was not going to be able to show how much I've grown. And it was more so going to be showing where I fucked up and where that's at now. And so I was just like, well, no, because I want to be real with people. And I also want to show people that you can screw up and then get better from it, And at that time, it kind of seemed like they weren't going to be able to show that.
So, when were you guys actually filming? And I don't want to put words in your mouth because I feel like I did that. How do you describe? You say it's not what people thought, happened. So how do you describe it that you're comfortable with whatever happened between you and Moriah?
It was. It's just, there's so many different, basically, I think that I was not satisfied and we were not communicating, and she had moved down to Tampa, a month before this whole happened. And it just seemed like whenever that happened, we weren't really communicating as well. We were kind of off, and I almost felt like kind of pushed to move down there, even though I didn't feel ready to. And I was also really stressed with work and I don't want to say all this as an excuse, it never should have happened, but just so that, people understand, it just seemed like all these things were, high stress things were happening in my life. And so I went to basically this party with my buddy, and we were all, celebrating, drinking, doing our thing. And it was just me and the guys at first. And then he kind of invited some girls over. And basically all that happened was I ended up kissing one of the girls, which never should have happened. I fully take that, but that's pretty much what happened in a nutshell.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. Oh my gosh, Lord. I mean, I probably would have sucked 3 dicks. So, you just please know that there are people out there far worse than you, okay? I mean, please, you are so, I love you guys. You guys are so innocent. Lord, I feel like a makeout's a handshake. That's how terrible I am. I need to go to your church. I mean, this is awful. Like, that is like, don't beat yourself up. I get it. You never want to even do that at all to anybody that you're dating. Right? Totally. But like, Lord, I would have been in way compromising more. I think I have. So anyway, if you ever feel down about yourself, you can be like, oh, that's Sarah Fraser chick. I think she like sucked 3 dicks in one night when she was with some guy. So there you go. There you go.
I'll keep that in mind.
Always know that like there's someone worse out there, okay? So had they started filming, were they filming when this happened? And then you were like, you kind of shut it down. You're like, I'm not going to continue, or they hadn't even filmed yet?
No, this was like right after season 3 ended.
Okay,
so
got it.
Yeah, like a month after. So we were not filming.
Now, are you and Micah friends at all still? Because I liked your bro dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, whenever Micah moved to LA, we kind of like lost touch. And then he kind of like missed out on a lot of what's happened just because he was out there. And then it just kind of like fell off after that. So
yeah,
I would say no.
I liked your dynamic, and you know, it was so strange, by the way. Did you guys, were you truly blindsided in real life when he like just like left for LA and never even told producers or like anyone, and they do the final episode and they're like, oh yeah, Micah's just gone? Did you guys have any heads up?
I didn't. I had no idea. It was just kind of like this opportunity came and he just went.
That was so, and by the way, I do hear we have a mutual friend. You know, Marcia Dahl, who I love. Marcia Dahl was on season 1. She was the model agent that initially got Micah signed to her agency, and then Micah moved on. But I actually had watched a TikTok live of her, and she said that she's the reason you and Moriah met, right? That she had also signed you to like her modeling agency, and maybe Micah and Moriah had come in. Is that how you guys all had met?
Yeah. So Marcia and I are from the same hometown. And so she kind of like took me under her wing, was showing me the ropes. And that's how I met Micah and Moriah, was through her. So yeah, thank God for her, right? Yeah,
she's a great person in real life and just an awesome, spiritual, great person. Right. Okay, in the 3 seasons, is there any aspect of the show that just makes you scream? That you're like, God, this is just so inaccurate, or I can't stand that people say this about Lydia or something. Is there one part of it you're like, oh, I just wish people knew X?
One part.
Or maybe there's like 20.
I was going to say, I wish there was a bunch of them. I don't know. I mean... let's circle back to that one. Let me think about it a little bit.
I always like to throw in like some surprise things, and maybe there's nothing. Sure. Maybe it was just like regular. A lot of people are obsessed with what you do for work. Sounds like you're an entrepreneur. You have a great marketing company in Florida that you started in 2020. So what gave you the entrepreneurial spirit? Are your parents entrepreneurs, or did you always know you wanted to do that?
My brother actually kind of got me into it. I was originally going to be a entrepreneurial construction company with my brother. And then this like marketing thing kind of came to me, and I saw where I could work with contractors doing it. And it just it felt right. And so I just went for it. And it was one of those things that worked out.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're doing really well. People are very, curious about your work life.
Right.
So what's your status now? Do you are you single? Are you dating? Are you still working on yourself?
Yeah. I mean, single, but I think that something that I realized was I really need to be a good friend first. And if I can do that, then I can be a good boyfriend, So right now I'm really focusing on making sure that I'm there with the family, making sure I'm with my friends, etc. And just trying to get my stuff straight. I don't really feel like I'm in the right spot to date again,
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah. Not right now anyways.
Max, did you there's a lot of course, focus on the religious upbringing of the Plaths, right? Like if that is a good thing, if it's not, the homeschooling, is it good? Is it bad? And obviously Micah, Moriah, Ethan have all had issues with Kim and Barry, basically them not following through, that the kids even had a high school diploma. So Were you raised with like a very strict religious foundation or homeschooled? Like, how did your values mesh with Moriah's?
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised Catholic, and we would all get down like on our knees and pray a whole rosary every night, which would take about an hour.
Oh my God, there's nothing. I'm a Catholic too. There's nothing longer than the isn't. And when you go to a funeral and they go, "We're going to do the rosary," it's like you want to honor the dead, but you're also like, "Oh Lord, this is going to be a long time. This is going to be." It's like you're really thinking of that person in heaven, and you know you should do this, but you're like, "Here we go. This is an hour."
Right.
You guys had to do it every night. Wow.
I mean, it's just that's what we did, and we were homeschooled too. Now, I think that the difference is, like, my older sister was super smart, and we all homeschooled together, and she's now like getting her doctorate. So, I can see where Moriah and them are a bit frustrated because they don't have their diploma yet and stuff like that. I felt like my parents did a really good job homeschooling us, and so I think that might be a little bit. I might have a more positive perspective of homeschooling than Moriah and them do.
But essentially, you understood Moriah's the religious upbringing, it sounds like, because you were raised pretty strict Catholic.
Right. Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, so you guys kind of had that in common to some degree.
Yeah, we had a lot in common, especially in the earlier years. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, again, you guys, I mean, I can't even believe, because I feel like television, in my mind, just ages people exponentially. I mean, I can't believe that Micah just turned 21. I'm like, this kid's only 21? Right. This is like, I feel like he's 35 by now. I mean, it's like, it's nuts. So you're not going to be on reality TV this year. You're working on yourself. What did the producers say to you? Because a lot of times they end up recasting TLC people for different reality shows. Have they approached you yet for 90 Day Fiancé? Have they said to you, Max, how about you move to Spain and hook up with this woman?
My roommates have all told me, you need to go on The Bachelorette or something like that. But that is not my kind of show. Sorry to give up some hopes.
Okay, but in one more year of working on yourself, would you go back to TV?
I mean, any opportunity that approaches me, I'm going to try and make the most of it. So I'll just go ahead and throw you a gold nugget, little spoiler. So I actually will be on season 4, but not very much.
What?
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. But,
interview over. That was an exclusive. Okay.
Good deal. Yeah, I didn't think I was. And then it was just kind of like they talked to me about it. And we did film. It was just like a couple scenes. So
awesome.
But I will be there.
That's all I need to hear. I mean, that really was. Look, Mags, you guys are all, we're all basically critics at home, right? Because we're not living it. We all want to be on TV. I give you a ton of credit. I give you so much credit, for just speaking your truth, and don't listen to the haters, because people make so many mistakes in their lives. And for some reason they get online and forget all that shit and go, oh, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that, and just go direct them to Sarah. There's this woman that has a podcast. She's like sucked 3 dicks. I mean, you just go back to just don't beat yourself up. You're a good person. You can tell, you were great on the show. And, we all continue to learn. So I just wish you the best. And I can't wait to see. I'm so excited for season 4 now. Like, this is going to be great.
You should be. It's going to be a wild ride. That's for sure.
I can't wait. Well, Max, thank you so much. Is there anything you're working on or anything you want to promote? I know you have a marketing company. Tell people where they can follow you, or where you're going to put out new updates, or if you're taking on new clients.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's in my Instagram bio, Anchor23 Marketing. You can just look me up on there as well. Something that I'm kind of in the works of trying to get going is selling solar as well. And I think Anchor23 is going to be able to kind of join forces there to get people on solar more. So that's kind of a fun project that we're in the works of.
Max Kallschmidt. Did I say it right? Did I say the last name right?
Kallschmidt.
Max Kallschmidt. Thank you so much for being on the Sarah Fraser Show. It was a treat.
Thank you, Sarah. No, the treat is mine for sure. Thank you so much.
Loved it.
It was awesome.
Thanks, Max.